What's up, guys?
Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
Welcome back, brothers. We are in the solo studio, meaning no roommate studio.
No roommate studio. Meh.
I actually heard my door creak the other day. I think I had left it open because if I don't shove it shut, it stays open. And I heard it creak, and I thought Danny.
Danny?
I thought Danny was coming home.
It's sad, but honestly, I'm feeling this new space for you.
Me too.
It's
like
a vibe.
it. It's cozy.
I'm really loving it.
It's cozy. It's cute.
It's independent. INDEPENDENT.
I don't even know if that was right. I can't fact check you.
You guys, we have an awesome episode for you. We're talking all about Pinterest today. And I know that sounds super niche, but Pinterest is a platform that we personally have had on the back burner for years. We've heard the hype, we've overheard how powerful it is, how we should get on it, but we just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, and after this episode, we came to realize just how lucrative it can be for so many different industries.
Yeah.
So we recommend listening to it even if you are not potentially an influencer or whatever it may be, because it can benefit you.
Yes, we have Emma on. She is a Pinterest strategist and expertise, in my opinion. She has been doing this for years. She helps coach businesses and she does the strategy for them and offers management. So she literally will create all the pins, original ideas, and really help a business establish their platform and their identity on Pinterest. And it's so beneficial because here's some crazy stats for you. We kind of get into it in the episode, but just so you guys understand the power of this platform. Users are 3 times more likely to click over to a brand's website on Pinterest than any other social media platform. Monthly international user figures grew by 46% in 2020. Weekly conversions on Pinterest grew by 300% last year. And my favorite stat of all of these is that pinners spend 80% more in retail than non-pinners. So, anyone who knows anything about platforms know that money is the motive. And to have that many consumers on one platform is wild.
Yes. These bitches have their pockets deep.
They have their credit cards in hand, ready to purchase.
So we're even considering using Emma and her services for the podcast and reaching new audiences and also potentially Mood for some lead generation.
Yeah, it just seems like it's such a beneficial platform.
It seems like there's a good ROI. You know what I mean?
And what I thought was really interesting that she mentioned as well in this conversation was that on Pinterest, the lifetime of your content is so much longer than on Instagram or on TikTok. On Instagram, you post a photo and people are finding it for a few days, whereas Pinterest, years later, people are finding your pins and, recreating them, saving them, whatever, and interacting with them. So it's just so interesting. I'm really happy, with our season being kind of influencer focused, I'm really happy to be bringing you guys this kind of niche down platform and just diving into it. So a lot to look forward to. Make sure you stick around. And before we get into that, we're going to do a little bit of catch up and deep dive.
Let's get into it, brother.
And we're replacing our high and low this week with catch up, by the way.
Yes, because we may or may not be filming a double. Therefore, we are not going to pull a high and low out of our ass.
So, yeah.
So, to catch you guys up on pretty much just Mood. Mood has been really busy lately.
Thriving.
It's been thriving.
I know.
It's been good. We have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, a lot of clients in the pipeline. I don't know if we shared that we expanded our services into social media account management, influencer campaign management,
TikTok
creation,
and
things of that nature. Really just trying to expand into the digital space and really become a one-stop powerhouse type of deal. It's been going really well. We are onboarding some new social media clients here in the near future, which is really exciting. We had another discovery call in between our 2 episodes today. And things are just moving along.
Things are happening and everything. I just feel like we're in a really good spot right now, just with our team, with our clients,
with our bank account.
With our bank account, everything feels great, and it's really nice. It's just exciting. And we had actually the past 2 months were a little bit slower, content creation wise. We really didn't have any photo shoots planned, and in a way that scared us because we're like, oh my god, we don't have anything planned, but it was also so good because it gave us that time to kind of take a step back and look at our agency and see how we can improve and see what services we can expand on. So it's nice. And that I just want to say that because it's if you ever feel like things aren't, lining up or like where they need to be or not happening fast enough, which is also wraps it up into Emma's best advice that she's ever received. But like don't let anyone rush you. Don't rush yourself. Everything is meant to be. You're good. You're chilling, and see it as an opportunity. You know, like we saw that quiet time, and we were like, okay, we intentionally were like, let's take advantage of this downtime. Don't worry, don't panic, but just see how we can really best utilize this time, and we did, and I'm really proud of ourselves for that.
Yeah, and it worked out well because we also threw in influencer event. We have been working on like an influencer campaign for a new client, and just really like fine-tuning a lot of things on the like back end, like our SOPs, our standard operating procedures, our packages,
a lot of internal good stuff.
Yeah, lots
and
of stuff.
I feel so confident in our team right now. We got a new intern, and he is absolutely killing it, and he's fun, and he brings a really fun energy to the team. Taylor, our project manager, who, if you guys have listened to the past season or so, you know we like kind of went through it with replacing our project manager, but Taylor's absolutely killing it. Like,
she's a legend.
Absolutely killing it. She's the GO MVP, and we have so much confidence in her, and that is seriously priceless.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, she's incredible. And we also have Wendy, who's our social media manager, who's also just a rock star.
And like the energy that they all bring is just so good, you know?
Yeah.
We just had we're trying to do one in-person meeting a month. So
at the beginning
of the month, and we just had one last week, and it just felt so good. Oh no, this week, Monday.
Yeah.
It just felt so good. Like we were in such a good creative flow. Taylor was taking notes on everything, and like we were just bouncing ideas off of each other, and it was really nice.
Yeah. And we were there for like 5 hours.
Yeah. And it didn't even feel like it. It kind of just flew by. We got lunch for everyone. It was super cute. But yeah, when you work remotely, it's so nice to have that in-person time, face to face. And I don't know, just like give yourself the space to be creative like that, you know?
100%.
So.
And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love like that sort of energy, and I feel like that'll be really beneficial to us when we get an office, because then we can have like more of those moments.
Yeah, because I mean, like just in that one day, I feel like we accomplished so much. So imagine if we were all in person, you know, not every day, but multiple days out of the week. I just feel like it would be like just such an opportunity for growth, you know?
Yeah, and it's just so much easier to like run ideas by each other when you're in that.
And when you're not typing it out on Slack.
Yeah, exactly. You can, literally, stand up and say something to someone rather than, trying to kind of like communicate over
go back
text.
And forth. Yeah, so really good stuff.
Yeah.
We're in a good place. Just wanted to give you guys a little update on mood since it's kind of been a while since we have. And, let's get into our deep dive. So this is a segment that we do every episode where we deep dive into a collaboration of ours. So for mine, it is a brand called Mermaid Hair. It is a beach hair waver. And I got this through my Instagram, one of my Instagram managers, Michael, who we speak about often. And it's funny because I actually was going to buy this tool. It's like a hot tool. I was going to buy it with my own money. I never pulled the trigger on it. And then he reached out a few weeks later and asked if I wanted to collaborate. And I was like, hell yeah, brother, let's fucking do it. I did accept a little bit of a lower rate because it's a hair curler or a waver. So I knew it was going to be somewhat easy to capture that content. And I also got the product for free, which is great. Okay, so the deliverables were just one in-feed post, and the rate was $3.50. So yeah, the picture came out super cute. I shot it at one of the studios that we always shoot at, and I just knocked it out. Just me posing with my little, kind of looks awkward. Kind of looks like it could be a sex toy, but it's fine.
It's cute.
I think like a big dildo.
Looks like a 3-headed dildo.
I love that for me.
It's funny because I have like, I don't know if he sent it to me, but I have that one too.
I know. He probably did. I don't know.
What if I was like supposed to do a collab and I like didn't know?
And you never did it?
Because sometimes I receive packages and I like haven't like for example, I received this massive fucking package from Brazilian Bum Bum, Sol de Janeiro. Massive package, bunch of shit. I didn't even give them my new address. Don't know how they got it.
It's probably Michael.
Probably Michael, but I've also like talked to they've also sent me stuff before, so I don't know how they would have gotten the new one. But I'm like, thanks guys. Did we like agree to do something together? Like, am I supposed?
I hope not.
Yeah, but regardless, to get into my deep dive, I am doing a monthly collaboration with this clothing company called Life Clothing. I've been working with the owner for years. It's like graphic tees and like just cool, like groovy kind of clothing. And we locked in this partnership where he's just going to send me like 10 to 12 pieces of clothing a month and pay me roughly $1,000 per month for shooting a few images of each piece, which they honestly tend to be really fun to shoot, easy to shoot. Dan, the owner, like always likes the content I do, so it's always, pretty fun to shoot.
Yeah,
so,
easy to knock out.
Yeah, so we're doing that on a monthly basis now, which is fun.
So how many photos do you feel like you deliver per month?
Well, I always tend to over deliver, so it like comes out to be a lot because I like to give him options, and it doesn't really take much from me to give him a couple extra, but I probably do like 5 photos per look.
So like 40, 50 photos.
It comes out to a lot more.
Yeah.
Because if it's 5, okay, I guess that would make 50. No, I probably do more than that. I probably do like.
Well, you're already getting the content, so it's easy to just deliver.
I probably do around 100 to 200 photos, just because.
You've also built a relationship with this client over the years. You've worked together, so you're happy to provide that.
Yeah, I just give a ton of options.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
Cool.
So yeah. That's always fun.
And that is no posting required, just simply a content creation deal.
Content creation for them to use. Some people see it on ads sometimes.
Yeah, give you guys some insight on what our deals look like. All right, we will not hold you any longer. We're going to get into this episode with Emma. If you can, please post on your story or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything to show us your love and support, and we will hop into it.
All right, guys, we are on with Emma. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
We're doing fantastic.
What time is it over there?
It is just past 6 p.m. here.
Okay, that's not horrible.
When you were like, I'm done with my day, I was like, oh, what a great day.
4-hour work week. Love that.
Yeah. So for our audience who isn't already familiarized with you, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I'm Emma. I'm a Pinterest strategist, and I basically help brands, entrepreneurs, bloggers to basically use the power of Pinterest to build a following or build their brand and bring more business in, basically. I started using Pinterest a while ago for my own blog, and I just felt completely in love with it and got super nerdy with all the strategizing. And now it's like my favorite thing ever to help other people do it.
I think it's such a really cool platform because I don't think a lot of people know that you can use it as a tool. Like so many people use it as like a, sourcing photos for aesthetics and inspo, but like to actually be using it as a like monetization tool or like lead generation tool is really, really interesting. So I'm really curious to know kind of how you fell into that.
Yeah, so I had a travel blog for a while, and I'd used Pinterest pretty much like everyone else does, like just create cute little boards for my wedding, things like that. But I kind of started, I think I must have seen a pin on there talking about how this other blogger was getting traffic using Pinterest, loads of traffic. So I kind of got interested in it, started doing loads of research and fell down this just massive rabbit hole of information. And then I found that it really worked for me. Like I started bringing in all this traffic, and still to this day, like most of my website traffic comes from Pinterest. Wow. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I also noticed that, especially in the UK, I think in the US, people are a little bit more switched onto it. I know brands definitely are a little bit more switched onto it, but in the UK, people just have absolutely no idea of how useful and powerful it can be. So I kind of saw, I guess, like a little bit of an opportunity there in this new skill set that I developed and how I could kind of help other people with it.
I love that.
So cool. Yeah. Pinterest is, I think, one of the most underrated. I mean, here definitely, like you said, brands are a little bit more on the pulse, but still, I think Pinterest is so overrated, especially with bloggers and content creators. As far as like, as at least in our sphere of things, like we never hear other creators kind of utilizing Pinterest the way that you do. And over the past year, we just started to see TikToks mainly of people being like, if you're not sharing your content on Pinterest, you're sleeping. It helps your exposure, all these things. So I think that's so cool. And definitely like, I want to get into like really how powerful of a platform it is and like why you think it is what it is. I mean, the stats are crazy of the amount of people who have joined in the past few years, the amount of people who are consumers using the platform. So give us just a little bit of background on why you think it is as powerful as it is.
Yeah, so the first thing that I'll say is that Pinterest is definitely making a lot of changes, and like maybe that's something we can talk about later, but in terms of influencing, I think they're moving more towards becoming an influencer platform. So that's really interesting
that is.
in and of itself, because I do think that the way people are using Pinterest is changing. But what makes Pinterest so great compared to other platforms is that they've always made it fairly easy for you to get people to click out of it. So I always talk about it as like a visual search engine, and I try to get people to think of it a bit like Google. So like when you search something into Google, it like collates all of the best results, not just like the most recent ones like you might find on other social media platforms. So if you can create something that is really useful and use your SEO well, then your pin will rank high in those search results, and it will rank high for a really long time. And that pin will link to your website. So people will be constantly finding that pin for years and years to come, which often isn't the case on other platforms. On Instagram, you're having to create content all the time, like really, really quickly. Like the amount of turnover is just incredible because, that content doesn't last forever. Once people have seen it, a few days later, it's kind of gone, whereas with Pinterest, that isn't the case. You can still find, I'm still getting pins that are linking to my website over a year old. So that's really exciting because once you've made a piece of content, it's still going to work for you. And yeah, like I said, they're a bit like Google in the fact that they are collating all that information from different places. So they kind of want to push people out of the platform. Although that is changing a little bit with the idea pins, but with regular pins, they're encouraging people to find answers to, any kind of problem that they have, any solution they're looking for. They're encouraging them to go and find them outside of the platform, which can be really hard to do on other social media platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like so many other platforms, like
don't want keep you in it.
Yeah, don't want you leaving at all. Like they give you like 3 warnings before they let you even like leave the platform.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, and I like what you said about like the lifespan of the pins, because on Instagram, yeah, the lifespan is like a few hours, maybe 24 hours, and then it's like pretty much done for. Whereas on Pinterest, yeah, these things can be living on there and continuing to garner engagement for years and years to come.
Yeah, and that's so good. I mean, I feel like we are just living in such a like burnout era.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think that social media really has a big part to play in that, because if you feel like you're constantly having to create something new, constantly keep up to stay relevant, that is so hard. Whereas with Pinterest, if you can, build a little bit on it, it doesn't matter too much if you take some time off it, and you'll still be doing well on there because those pins are lasting, which is nice. You don't have to completely burn yourself out.
Yeah. So I'm curious, as for someone who is really new to Pinterest and using it as sort of like a tool rather than just another an entertainment platform, what would be your first steps to kind of having someone change how they use it?
So the thing that I always like bang on about, which probably drives people crazy, is keywords, which sounds really, really boring, but it isn't as difficult as it sounds. It basically just means you have to always be thinking about, like I said with Google, what search terms people are going to be typing into that search bar on Pinterest, and really using those in your pins. So using them in like your pin design, if you are using any kind of title on them, using it in your pin title, your description, all of those things, board titles, that is what actually gets people to find your pin, because that's telling Pinterest, this is exactly what this pin is about, so they know who to show it to. So that's kind of the main thing I say, is to think a little bit more strategically. I think on other platforms, although maybe that's not bad. I feel like Instagram, you do still have to be strategic, right? But there's like a lot of sort of SEO strategy, I guess, behind Pinterest. And so going into it knowing that is really useful, especially because Pinterest have this thing where they like something called fresh pins, which basically means a brand new piece of content. So if you repost a piece of content, it will not do as well the second time round as the first time round, because they've already seen it. So it's really worth it taking a little bit of time to learn a bit about the platform, learn a little bit about keywords and SEO, and what keywords you want to include and try and like target before you post those pins, because then you can't really undo it as much later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it makes me curious as to like the type of audience that is using Pinterest consistently versus you know, the audience that's using Instagram or TikTok per se. Like, I think it's a different consumer, you know, because it's like people who are on Pinterest are clicking into, from at least what I see, are clicking into like articles or clicking into something educational. They're clicking into something that is of more value than just like an Instagram post of us wearing a cute outfit. I'm
Yeah,
curious to know your
absolutely.
thoughts. Yeah, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that people struggle with. Because I mean, on other accounts, on like TikTok and things, you can post things that aren't necessarily really useful. They might be more entertaining or aspirational, maybe, and it will still do really well on those
Right.
platforms. But on Pinterest, it's unlikely to do well. And that is because, as you said, people are looking for a specific solution to a specific problem. And that could be like all manner of different things. Like it could be wedding planning, it could be so many different things, outfits. But they are looking for something specific. And like I said, they're going to be searching for that specific thing. So if you're just posting kind of like randomly things that aren't particularly valuable or useful, no one's going to be searching for it. So it's not going to come up or appear for them. So you're unlikely to see much traction on a pin like that. So that's really important whenever you're making a pin. Think, how is this valuable? How is this useful? What solution am I bringing? What question am I answering?
Yeah, that's huge.
And so for like a content creator or, you know, influencer who is, you know, the majority of our audience, I feel like kind of aspires to do something in that sort of realm, or they're small business owners, whatever it may be. What would be your advice for them? You know, should they be making specific Pinterest content, or can they be repurposing the content that they're putting on Instagram? Like, you know, before even discussing keywords, what should they be even like putting out there?
Yeah. So I would say the majority of people at the moment are, in terms of idea pins, which are basically TikTok, not Pinterest version of TikTok or Instagram Reels. Most people are repurposing content from TikTok and Instagram Reels, and those are doing really well. So you can like totally do that. Again, I would say only upload the ones that have some kind of value or are useful.
Yeah.
And also, when I say value, like for example, outfits, that is still valuable. Like that's giving someone outfit inspiration, outfit ideas.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like a really in-depth knowledgeable thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But just know that you are serving someone in some way. So it's definitely possible to repurpose content. I have just literally signed on a new client who has created one idea pin in Pinterest, and it's done really, really well. But we haven't repurposed any of our other content yet, so I can't tell if it's just that it was going to do well either way. So it'll be really interesting to see if actually it will do better if it's just been straight from Pinterest rather than repurposed. So idea pins are really new and no one knows that much about them. I always say, I think, you know, it's easy to assume that an expert knows everything on like a new topic, but you know, we're all learning.
Yeah, of
We're all
course.
just trying things out and seeing what works.
Definitely.
Um,
And go ahead.
And then in terms of just regular pins, again, actually, really depends what niche you're in and what content you're creating. You can definitely repurpose your like Instagram photos. I would resize them to, 1000 by 1500 pixels, just because Pinterest has specifically said that they prefer that size. So I would do that. You can do that in Canva or whatever. And you can also create pins that maybe have some kind of text on them, add a little bit more value to the photo. That can be really useful as well.
Okay, so my question here is, do you need to have a blog and or a website to have a successful Pinterest? Does that make the most sense? Because like I feel like Pinterest is almost just a lead magnet for something else, right?
Yeah.
So until like really recently, I would have said yes. That I personally wouldn't really bother doing it if you didn't have something to send someone to.
Right.
But with all the recent changes, I actually think that it would be valuable to be on Pinterest even if you don't.
Even without.
Yeah, and that's because they seem to be moving more towards an influencer platform. So I already have a client that's working with a brand on a sponsored post on Instagram, on Pinterest. So I think there's definitely still opportunities to make money that way. And also through affiliate links and things like that, it's definitely possible to make money that way as well. They've made that much easier recently. So you definitely don't need one anymore. You can just be more of an influencer on Pinterest. You don't have to be driving them towards a business or a blog or anything like that. Although obviously it is still really useful for that too.
Yeah. So in that case, where would someone provide the either education or the value? Like, would it be just the photo itself would have, the copy on it and that would be the value, or would it be in the caption? If they didn't have somewhere to send a consumer, where would they place their value in their content?
Yeah. So if I was going to go into Pinterest as an influencer, I would focus on idea pins because they are the easiest way to monetize your content, because you can really easily add affiliate links onto them. You can really easily do brand deals with them. So that's where I would focus. And with idea pins, you can either do a video like you would with a reel or a TikTok, which obviously you can create value within that video, or you can do it. It's kind of a little bit like Instagram stories, like little slides, which again, I would add copy to that when I was doing that. And also when you're adding an idea pin, I don't see enough people utilizing this, but there is a section for you to fill out, a notes section. Again, like you can add a load of value there. And also when you're adding the value there, you're also probably automatically adding keywords, which is going to help you get found in search.
It's so funny how all these platforms are just like copying each other's features. Like, you see all of them trying to do stories now, and that was Snapchat, and they're all trying to do reels now, and that was TikTok. It's just so funny. They're all trying to just be that one-stop shop. I'm trying to think, like, in what position, I guess mostly business owners, but who do you feel like Pinterest could benefit the most? Like what type of profession, or what industry? Like, I know weddings are huge. Like, that is a huge thing on Pinterest. Like, I know my board is on there. So is there like a specific niche of an industry that you feel like could really, really flourish on Pinterest specifically?
Yeah, so there are certain niches that do better on Pinterest than others. And one thing to bear in mind is that Pinterest audience is majority women. So if you are within a niche that is geared towards women, it is likely to do better. There are still men on there, and I think that will change over time because over the past couple of years, we've seen more and more men join. But currently, it's still the majority of people on there are women. So that's the first thing to say. Like you said, wedding niche does really well. Anything within home decor, fashion, food, business like style content, all of those do really well. Even like kind of random things like gardening. There is quite a broad range of things because there's such a broad range of different people on Pinterest.
I mean, like,
that look at different things.
Like cleaning, I'm sure is even like its own, niche. But I mean, and I guess, the follow-up question to that is that to market their, brand correctly, I guess it would need to be like an educational pin, either linking back to, either their website or to their Instagram. Like, kind of how would, I guess maybe walk us through if a client were to approach you and that client had a service, how you feel like it would benefit them best.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do in terms of service-based clients is to use Pinterest to help them build an email list. I think email lists are really, really valuable, and not enough people are kind of jumping on that, because obviously, you own your email list. If something happens to Instagram, you're going to lose everyone, or even your Pinterest. But if you've managed to build an email list, then you've still got all those people. And so Pinterest is a really good way to do that. If you can create some kind of like a freebie, or like a lead magnet, we'd call it, something that is, obviously valuable, some kind of resource. It could be a checklist. It could be like a little mini guide. So many different things it could be. But you could definitely create a pin kind of displaying that, and sort of saying, I don't know, free gardening checklist or whatever it was. And that would, push people over towards your email list or landing page or whatever. That's one of my favorite things to do. And then obviously it's much easier to sell to people through email, it has a much higher conversion rate. So that's like one of my favorite things to do. I also always like recommend people, if they are in a service business, to create content. I think that not enough people create content as service providers, because I mean, for example, you guys found me on TikTok. That is how most of my clients find me, is on TikTok, from the useful content I'm creating. So that could be through a blog, or it could just be through literally idea pins. Like there are plenty of people on Pinterest that are creating useful idea pin videos that are going to bring in clients. Like they're proving that how useful they are, they're proving that they know what they're talking about, and people are going to be willing to work with them for that. It would be like, I definitely suggest slightly different things for e-commerce, but for service-based businesses, I think those are like the two things I'd really focus on.
Okay, cool. And I'm curious to know a little bit more about like you and your services and what you provide. So if this client were to come to you, like I can understand that you're going to like, lay out a little bit of a business plan, but are you going to be outlining and or creating, like helping them create that content? Like what does that kind of look like on your business end?
Yeah, so I have like a few different options. So I do a Pinterest strategy, and then I do Pinterest management. So Pinterest strategy, I will basically go into the person's account, do a full audit. I will do like all of their keyword research for them, let them know exactly what kind of content they should be posting. And then I kind of just hand it over, and then it's up to them to do like what they wish with that. And then management, that is like a monthly management package. So I do basically everything that I did for the strategy, but then I also just take complete control of the Pinterest account, do all the posting and things like that. And a lot of the time I'm pulling content from TikTok or Instagram, all those kind of things. So it's still content that a lot of people have created, but yeah, I kind of run the show, if that makes sense.
I think that, yeah, and I think that's so genius. If you say our audience, we talk a lot about female entrepreneurship and women in business. Say someone in our audience is a business owner. What would you tell them as to why it's important to establish a presence on Pinterest? Like if they're like, no, it's like not that important, what would your response be to that?
I'd say, one, it's growing like massively. I wish I had the numbers here with me right now, but
No, I actually have them pulled up because they're insane.
Yeah.
Weekly conversions on Pinterest grew by 300% last year, and monthly international user figures grew by 46% in 2020. And something that I also think is crazy is that pinners spend 80% more in retail than non-pinners.
That was the second thing I was going to say.
Which is nuts.
So like they're massive fucking shopaholics.
Yeah, they're people who are spending money.
And I think it's like 80-something% go to Pinterest to shop. Like they purposefully go to the app to shop.
Like it's a shopping platform.
That's crazy. Did you guys ever use the app We Heart It? Did you ever hear of that, Emma?
I remember it. I feel like I might have used it like a tiny bit. But
it was really similar to Pinterest, but it was pretty much just for shopping. Like it was, it was only
that's
shopping.
Kind of what Like to Know It is too now.
Yeah, but it's just super interesting. I used to like be all over that platform, and I was like, spending way too much money.
Okay. Why is Pinterest important to a business owner?
Yeah, so Pinterest users are, one, they're really, like, as I said, they're looking for a solution. So they're like really warm leads. You're not like when you're selling to someone on Instagram or whatever, that can be quite hard sometimes. Like if you're on an Instagram story trying to convince someone that they need something, whereas on Pinterest, they found you from searching for something. So you're just providing a solution that they already have a problem. Like they are ready and willing to like,
they're like, take my money.
Exactly. Like they are really warm leads. So that's like one thing that I think is so great about Pinterest. And then the other thing, they are ready to spend, and they tend to have money. Like the average income, I think, is like the highest than on any other platform. So
wow.
It's invaluable to have that sort of resource at your fingertips. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
People that are just at the ready with their wallets.
Exactly. Like people that are ready to buy, that need what you are selling, and that have the money to do it. Like that's the dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're saving these things for later as well. Yeah. And it's like, people save pins to like go back to them. So maybe even if they don't buy at that point, you could still have that opportunity with them later.
Would you say it's good for brand awareness in general?
I feel like not right now, but I think that it will be in future. because in the past people weren't like massively into following people on Pinterest, but I've already
Mhm.
seen that change like hugely in the past month. Like now loads of people are following, and I think like taking what they're used to from other platforms.
Right.
But in the past, definitely not. Like I'd always say Instagram and things like that are better for brand awareness, but I do think that will change.
Interesting.
And how do you feel about the community? How do you feel like the community is different on Pinterest, other than knowing that they have their their wallets in their hand?
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're more engaged versus like an Instagram or a TikTok community?
Yeah, because they're looking for those solutions. Like they will
Yeah.
watch all the way through. Like
Mm.
they will tell you what they can be a little bit, I don't know, they will tell you if they don't like something on Pinterest. They will comment and let you know.
You can
Because
comment on Pinterest?
Yeah.
you can, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like for recipes, like people will say like I've tried this or made this, and they can reply with photos too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
that's
that.
another great thing is they've started doing on Idea Pins something called, oh, what is it called? I've completely blanked. But it's a little bit like stitching a TikTok. But the idea is that someone will stitch your video with like a recreation of what you've done. So
Oh,
that's
that's cool.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's super cool. Okay, so I saw a reel on your page that said like 8 ways to make money from Pinterest. Would
Mhm.
love to go into some like tactical practices. So for someone who's maybe a content creator and they're looking at Pinterest and considering getting on that platform and really just like diving into it,
Yeah.
what would be those ways that you think are the best ways?
So, like I said, I would start with idea pins. And the easiest thing, if you're just starting out and you don't have like a big following, that's fine, because Pinterest have made it really easy to use affiliate links. So when you create a idea pin, you can add like a link, like sticker link to a product, and Pinterest has like said that they will encourage you to use affiliate links
Mm.
with those products, with those links. So I would definitely start with that. And again, like you don't need you don't need any following on Pinterest,
Yeah.
because if you're creating that content, someone is able to find it because they're literally searching for it. Like on Instagram, you kind of just see the people that you follow, unless you like, I don't know, you might find some new people, but it's much more difficult to get found on Instagram. Whereas on
Right.
Pinterest, someone's like searching right for you, so you don't need that big following. So you could make really good money from affiliate links on idea
Okay.
pins.
Interesting.
And then I would also say, if you're just starting out, it's possible to like tag a brand in your idea pin. I would start doing that just to make them aware of the content you're creating, and if it's building traction, that would be really good. And then if you're able to build up a little bit more, it doesn't even need to be a following, just that you have a good amount of views. Then you could start reaching out to brands and saying, hey, I'd really like to work with something like this. And I think that a lot of brands would be really, really open to that, especially if you can give them these kind of stats that we're talking about and say, all of these reasons why they should be using Pinterest and why your idea pin is going to be really useful to them. Like, sell them the value that your idea pin is going to give them. But I think most brands would be really open to that. And I'm already seeing so many brands want to work with influencers on Pinterest.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I haven't heard of that actually, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, this is all, I'm sure you can tell, this is all new information for us. Pinterest has been like on our back burner for years. Like we've like heard the hype about how important it is and how cool it is. And we're just like, God, we need to get on it. That's originally why I had reached out to you, because I'm like, back burner no more. We're doing it. We're getting on Pinterest. What do you feel like the best performing content tends to be on, like for you specifically, or just like,
And to narrow that down, I think she means like informative, resourceful, like entertaining, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
like maybe from, the data and analytics that you've seen from your content, what do you see like pattern wise that is really blowing up, going viral, or, things like that?
Yeah. If you can do an idea pin and like a video that shows someone exactly how to do something.
Okay.
So kind of like a mini tutorial, those go really, really well on Pinterest. And also Pinterest is kind of behind the times a little bit, right? Because it's only just introduced all these things. So all those things that were like going really viral on TikTok, like, I don't know, all these different like foods and drinks and like, they're like foam mirror frame things that were
Phone
like
mirror
going around on
frames?
TikTok. Those are like now really big on Pinterest. So anything that's like a little mini tutorial, that will do really well. Sorry, that door is just open behind me because my dog's just walked in.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, no, just the door opening behind me. I'm like,
I'm
what?
like, I don't see a person coming through that door. I'm terrified.
In here.
You're good.
Oh my gosh, I've completely lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Yeah, so tutorial stuff does really, really well. Also, any kind of like list or like checklist.
Ooh, okay.
I'm in like the travel niche of my blog, so whenever I create any kind of like bucket list stuff, that always does so well. So if you can somehow do something similar to that in your niche, so like I see people in the wellness niche do things like journal prompts, things like that, that always does so well because it's so useful, so savable, and you want to come back to it later. Like, you know, you're not just going to remember that thing, like you're going to need to come back to it later. So those kind of do really well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like product roundups, they do pretty well as well, I'd say.
I love it. I love a good product roundup.
Yeah.
They do well. So things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it sounds like it's stuff that, like, I feel like once I start creating content on Pinterest, I'm going to think about things that people save, you know, like what is something that someone would save for later? And it is all those things. It's lists, tutorials, things that you want to like reference back to. I also feel like tutorials do really well because we all have very short attention spans these days. And like, if you can show me how to cook a turkey in 30 seconds, like great. Know, I think most people would prefer watching that versus going through an article and reading. You know, if you could just like have that video pulled up and it shows you every step of the way, it's just such a shorter form of delivering, you know, what the answer is in like in 30 seconds. And I think that's why those do really well. And also, I think it's really interesting that you think that Pinterest is behind trend. Why do you think that is?
I think it's only with idea pins that it's behind because those are new. So like, people are repurposing all that content that like did really well on the other platform and now only just bringing it over to Pinterest. So it's now doing really well there. But in like general, that's not the case. And I think it'll catch up, but it's just because idea pins are so new at the moment.
Are idea pins only video?
No, it's their video, and then they also have that like story kind of function where you can just do slides.
So it's no still photos or graphics.
You can do a still photo in that slide.
Gotcha. That is the carousel slide. That is so interesting.
I like carousel. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what do you I feel like you've predicted a lot of things like trend-wise that you feel like are going to be happening on Pinterest. What do you kind of feel like it's going to be moving into and how to like kind of be ahead of the bell curve?
Yeah. So actually, this is like really, really new information because I only realized it today.
Ooh, spill the tea.
Yeah. And I actually have no idea. Pinterest is really notorious for like being a bit glitchy. So this could 100% just be a glitch. So I just want to preface this
disclaimer.
But I realized that, so normally you can link your Pinterest to like your website, your Etsy account, and your YouTube and your Instagram account. But I checked today, and on my account and all my clients' account, the ability to link your Instagram has gone, which I find really interesting. And I'm thinking that just confirms that they're really trying to push becoming an influencer platform because
because they don't want to show their
promote it
competition. Wow.
When you say influencer platform, can you expand on that?
Yeah. So I really think that they've realized how valuable it is because they've had people they've been pushing content to or pushing users to other people's content all over the internet for ages. And over quarantine and COVID and everything, they started to really increase the amount of shopping that you could do actually in the platform. And that obviously became really, you know, exciting and valuable for them. Right. Because they were able to keep people on the platform for longer, make more money from ads, etc. So then I think they realized, you know, all these other accounts, they've got all these creators, all these other platforms have these creators that are, you know, making this content that are able to keep people on the platform. And they've just kind of really pushed over to that kind of side. And I think they basically just want to keep people on there with the idea pins, which I know some people are going to be really angry about, that they're, you know, not pushing people out. And they're still doing that with the regular pins. Like your regular pins are still being seen. You can still push people to your website with the regular pins, but the idea pins, they are ultimately going to keep people on the platform. So that's valuable for Pinterest.
Right.
I'm so sorry, my dog keeps making noises.
We're used to the dogs.
I like plied her with treats before this in the hope that she would leave me alone, but she hasn't. So they basically realize, you know, content creators are really valuable. And I can't even, what is her name? The like head of content creator affiliates at Pinterest has, you know, said how much that they value content creators. And I think they just really know that that's the future, right? Like the creator economy is booming, like, and it's only going to grow from here, and they just really want to be a part of that. And they know how valuable that is. Which is
trying to tap in.
Which is amazing that they realize that, and they're constantly creating all these new features to entice creators in and to, you know, help them out in making money on the platform. Actually in the US they've created like some kind of creator fund. It's not available here in the UK.
Really?
But that's something definitely to check out as well if you're in the US and you want to start creating content on that, because that's obviously another way to make money.
Interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, God, it's so interesting because it is such a different platform.
Yeah,
you know,
and I feel like I keep saying interesting, but it's literally just because I don't know anything. Like,
no, it's literally
anything
interesting.
about it.
We're just like, what it's like, it's just so different than what we're used to on Instagram. Like I almost feel like Pinterest serves as like this, well, it was at least as this middleman platform. And now they're trying to tap into the influencers, because realistically, like, influencers,
people where the world is going.
People who are interested in influencers and content creators and invested in their lives are staying on the apps because they want to see more of what that creator is posting on that app. So if Pinterest starts pulling in the influencers, then they start pulling in the consumers, and, you know, it just creates more time spent on the app. What would be your best advice for someone who wants to get onto Pinterest, but the whole thing is just too overwhelming?
I can totally understand that. Especially, I get that a lot, like on my TikTok videos. If someone just comes across one video and I'm there talking about like keywords and SEO, and they're just like, what are you talking about?
They're like, where do I even start?
Right? Yeah. I'd say, well, shameless plug, I have a blog.
There you go.
I do post a lot of really helpful content on there that really just breaks it down like step by step, because I know it is super overwhelming. Like when I first started, I had absolutely no idea whatsoever. So that's, you know, you can definitely check that out. Also, Pinterest actually has it's called newsroom.pinterest.com. That is a really useful resource, because it basically, first of all, it'll keep you up to date on like all the new features if you want to use them, but it also breaks down exactly how everything works. Which is really
wow,
useful.
That's awesome. I wish Instagram did that.
Yeah, they make it really
they
easy.
have like that creator thing, but I think it's all bullshit anyway.
But it's nice. It's nice that they're like trying to be transparent about it, and they're showing like how it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's because they're so keen, right, to get those creators from the other platforms to move over onto Pinterest, that they're like, we will just give you everything you need. Like,
we'll give you everything. Take it all.
People are so tired of Instagram these days that it's like, I don't think it's going to be super hard for them to really capitalize on that audience.
Yeah, but Instagram is just so established. I mean, Pinterest is too, but it's just like, I feel like Instagram really appeals to the masses, and Pinterest is a little bit more of a niche platform.
Yeah, but that's also what makes it so powerful, though.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point to make. It is what makes it so powerful. And of course, 80% of the consumers on there are spending money. They're all women. Like,
exactly.
Women are the ones spending money in this world.
And I think that it really is invaluable, because although it's niche to still a massive audience. I mean, we're really just talking like the female.
Not only a mass audience, but the best audience you could ever want.
Yeah.
Which is female spenders.
The pockets run deep. I love it.
Female spenders with I was gonna say their husband's credit cards, but like, no, fuck it, our credit cards, bitch.
Yeah, that's misogynistic. We don't support that idea around here.
It was more so of like an empowering thing of like, yes.
Use his credit card, sis.
His credit card.
Exactly. That's the only time.
I digress. Do we have any final questions? I feel like we really picked your brains.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any off the top of my head because I don't even know everything that it entails. So I couldn't even go deeper if I wanted to. But we're definitely going to need to do a deep dive with us and really start
and Pinterest and your blog and all the resources that you've mentioned. Yeah, so good. Do you have any final statements or any like last word of advice about Pinterest? We do have 2 final questions that we are going to ask you, by the way, just to wrap the whole thing up.
Oh God, I'm trying to think.
I feel like you really gave us everything.
Holding back. I feel like I've said pretty much
shelled it all out. All right, let's get into it. Let's wrap it up with our 2 final questions that we like to ask every single guest. The first being, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? So this could be about, you and your personal business and your coaching or whatever it is, things that you hold with you throughout your day, mantras, whatever.
Okay, so this is going to be like a little bit emotional, so I apologize.
No, let's get into it.
But so my mum was really ill. She was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, which I think is known as ALS in the US.
Okay, yes.
So she was diagnosed in my final year of uni, and I had to move home to care for her, and then she passed away. But when she was dying, she basically told me, like, don't let anyone rush you. Everything will happen at the time that it's meant to happen. And I basically hold that with me all the time. I like tell everyone that because I'm really hard on myself sometimes in wanting to reach all these goals really quickly. And I always just think it's really powerful. I think it would be really easy as someone who was reaching the end of their life to say, get as much done as quickly as you can possibly get it done. So for her to say that it's okay to take it slow and to take your time and make the decisions that you want to make instead of feeling pressured to do something quickly, I just thought that was really powerful. And so I always kind of hold on to that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful and absolutely an amazing piece of advice. You are exactly where you're meant to be at this moment. We're firm believers in that as well.
Definitely. Okay, our next question is, what is your best business pro tip? This could be anything from an app that you love, which would, be Pinterest, but other than that, anything that, you feel like has helped you stay organized or, whatever it may be.
Productivity tip, anything like that.
Oh, that's a good question. I am a super disorganized person.
Okay, love that.
Naturally, that is like, I'm everywhere.
Love that.
So I find it really helpful to sit down on a Sunday every single week. I make a meeting with myself and I will plan out like the whole week. And I just find that really helpful so that I don't have to think during the week, because if I had to think, nothing would get done.
Right.
I've got no idea. And I kind of do the same thing with like batch content. I will just do it all for like a week or 2, and then I don't have to think about it. I feel like those are my tips, my business tips.
I love it.
I love that. And I love that you said you're naturally not an organized person, because people who are organized, not everyone is naturally organized. Some people just really work on it, and force themselves to sit down and organize. Yeah. Love it. Awesome.
Yeah, I get it done, but I get the work done. And I work hard, I'm very productive, but I'm not organized with it. And I would just forget absolutely everything. I would have forgotten this podcast if I hadn't have written it down.
See, and that is the power of tools and understanding and self-reflecting and understanding yourself,
Right.
Yeah. So good. Thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation. I am so much more educated on Pinterest and really the power behind it. I hope our audience is too. If they want to follow you, follow your journey, learn more from you, where can they follow you at?
So they can follow me on TikTok. Is probably where I post the most content and the most useful content, which is at Atlas Social, ATLAS Social. You can also follow me on Instagram at the same, Atlas Social Co. That one is. Like I said, I've got a blog with lots of information about Pinterest, and that is www.atlassocialco.com.
Yes,
Perfect.
ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, if you like this episode, please take a screenshot, share it on your stories, tag us, tag Emma, and we would so appreciate it. And we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.